Well, hello, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, happy everything, happy end of the year. We are back with another Greyscalegorilla podcast to celebrate the end of the year. We got all dressed up for you. You guys look way better than I do. Welcome everybody, Chris Schmidt and Chad Ashley. What's up, guys?
Hello, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Dude, happy holiday. You look at your room, man. You got all the Santa gear back there. Got some hats going. I need more.
My elves came in and decorated for me.
Dude, this is amazing. This is a fun episode for us. If you've been listening over the years, I think we did one of these last year, maybe 2 years ago, even. Have we been doing this?
I don't know.
This the favorite things episode. I think Oprah's going to join us here in a little bit. She's going to share some of her things as well. But until she gets here, we're going to share with you some of our favorite things throughout the year. This is now last week, we did more like software and workflow things. This is going to be anything, man. Any fun stuff that we've encountered over the year that we've got like has helped our life or has made us smile, or, YouTube channels, things from Amazon. It's going to be all over the place. But this is a really fun one because I always learn something new just by being on this podcast and learning all the cool stuff that you guys are into. And so I think you as the listener as well will dig this one. This will be fun. And before we even get started, too, if you're listening and you have your favorite thing, we always are looking for new gadgets and fun stuff to try and play with. So put your stuff in the comments. I want some links, man. We will approve them. I know YouTube is not a fan of a bunch of links, but we will find it. And if they're good links, we'll prove them. We should all be sharing this stuff. Anyway, any front matter, I wanted to say thanks really quickly to Gunner, which is a studio in Detroit. I went to their holiday party last night, met a ton of great animators and motion design artists and 3D artists. Just wanted to say thanks for having that party. It was really cool to meet some of the Detroit crew, and Nick and Ian over there and their team. They're doing some really, really cool work. So definitely check them out. It's cool to get downtown and see all the, like, you wouldn't think Detroit has this culture of animation, but if you think about it, the car industry set up Detroit so much for advertising that there's so much talent down there, and they're definitely a part of that. So check it out.
How long does it take you to get to Detroit?
From where I am, it's about 35 to 45 minutes, depending on traffic.
That's not bad.
So I'm just outside, of the city, and it's good. I should get down there more. There's really cool stuff going down there. There's MoGraph Mondays with Julie, and there's there's some great stuff down there. So I'm gonna write that on my 2018 list right now. Get downtown more. Hope to see you guys. And cheers to everyone I met as well. A lot of them love the podcast. I got a lot of great feedback on the podcast, and I also love the podcast. So I'm sure. And the best thing about podcasts is when the hosts are just talking about how great their podcast is. That's probably everyone's.
That's super entertaining.
Very entertaining. So let's move on.
You're already listening.
Let's move on to right. We already got you. Let's move on to some of our, unless there's other follow up or front things we could talk about. Let's go. Let's jump into some of our favorite things, and we'll do it just like we did last week, round table. We'll start with Chris and start doing a circle of some of our favorite stuff over the year. Chris, why don't you get us rolling, man?
Oh, interesting. Well, let's see. I imagine you guys are going to start with the purchasey type things. I didn't, as far as items purchased this year, I didn't really get too much in the crazy. It's all practical things. But I've been using Amazon Video a lot this year, and I've just finished the first two and the only two so far seasons of Expanse, and I've been enjoying that. If you are a fan of science fiction, The Expanse is a pretty dang good show. It's a sci-fi show from the Sci-Fi Channel, and I'm pretty impressed at the budget, the quality of the props and the sets. The sets are expansive and detailed, and they have a really good vibe to them, and overall, like, the science is really good. Like, there's no shields. Like, ships shoot miniguns at each other, and it just rips through ships because they don't magically have shields, because shields aren't real, but miniguns are, and railguns are, and nukes are. So It's pretty sciencey for being. It's heavy on the science for the science fiction. So I would recommend The Expanse.
Is it a new show or has it been out for a while?
No, it's new. They're working on season 3, so it's an in progress show. So unfortunately, it's not completed, but I definitely enjoyed it quite a bit.
Awesome,
cool.
And I'm reminded as I am trying to spell the name of that show that we do always try to take good show notes for all, especially long lists like this. So if you're listening to this, you hear something that you want to learn more about, check the description below if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're listening, it'll be on our website and also in the podcast notes wherever you're listening. So try to spell all this stuff out. Chad, why don't you go next, man?
Well, I'll stay on the show TV show theme for this round, I guess. My favorite show of 2017 has to be Godless on Netflix. Godless on Netflix, it blew me away. It is I don't typically go in for the Western genre, but this show was so well executed and such a slow, intense burn that by the last episode, it just leaves you like exhausted. And it's just a really interesting show. Great cinematography, great texture, acting is phenomenal. And it was a show that I just tried on a whim, actually, because I had started to try a different show. I don't remember what show I was watching, but I abandoned it. And somebody on Twitter said, try Godless. And I was like, yeah, I'll try it. And I do it when I'm on the treadmill, I have the TV going. I try, that's how I get through a show. And I started Godless, and I found myself like looking for an excuse to get on the treadmill so I could go finish it. And I ended up finishing it throughout the house. It's not a show that you can watch when you have kids around. So I would always watch an episode on my phone or like go in the basement or whatever. But I highly recommend it, even if you're not into Westerns. It's just so well acted and awesome and beautiful.
Awesome. Well, that my list is like yours. It's from all over the place. But I'll try to match the show, entertainment kind of thing. I'm like you, Chad. When I'm walking or when I'm driving or trying to do all that stuff, I always need something to like watch or listen to. And for me, it's always like audiobooks or podcasts. And there's one book that I read this year. Well, there's 2 books that I read this year that I'm obsessed with. One I think I talked about last week called The One Thing. That's a little bit more of a productivity business book. But the other one is called Sapiens. And more than any book I've read this year, this is probably the one I bring up most in conversation when talking, meeting up with friends. It's been a profound way to look at the world and how humans have built this world and imagined this world. And I'm always amazed by how many things, if you really start to look around your world, how many things that humans invented. And that may sound obvious, but when you read this book, it really shows kind of the progress of how we came from, the land and lived off the land, and now how we built this world around us, including language and money, and like invented science and invented like all these amazing things, all came from humans. So it's just a really interesting book. It's really entertaining, well written, and by far the biggest non-business book that I've talked about over the year. Check it out. Chris,
let's
go
see.
ahead, man.
I'm going to jump to my favorite new webcomic I discovered this year. It is called Loading Artists, and I follow a whole bunch of different webcomics. I used to love the funny papers as a kid, reading the comics page, and we're in the future, so you gotta read all your comics online. So Loading Artists is just a cool, well-made, well-drawn, very clean, kind of everyday comic. I think it maybe updates once or twice a week, but yeah, highly recommend that. It's just kind of like awkward humor, kind of sassy and sarcastic. I would definitely recommend. I got a whole bunch of other webcomic recommendations if people want to ask about them. But as far as a new one that I've discovered this year, Loading Artists, I will put a link.
I'm reading them now. It's funny. I mean, it's not Kathy, but it's funny.
Oh, Chad, I'm writing your show notes.
Kathy.
What was your first one?
My first one was the show Godless on Netflix.
I'm just taking some notes here for the links.
All right,
Go ahead, man.
So I'm gonna take it into let's see, what do I want to do next? I have a whole matte black theme that I'm sticking with on all of my stuff. And so I guess I'll start off fairly, I'm kind of torn right now. I'll start off with a tech gadget that I didn't expect I would like, and I really have come to enjoy it. And that is going to be the Nintendo Switch. It has really kind of, I'm not a gamer. If those of you that know me, I do not game, but we got this Switch in the house, and I have been playing it a lot more than I ever have played any game console I've ever owned, even more than the Wii that we had. And I love the fact that I can take it into a different room and continue to play the game if they want to, watch TV, or I need to move somewhere else. I can take it with me outside of the house.
Do you play it on the big screen too, as well as like?
Yeah. It has a dock that you plug in, and it goes to the big screen. But what's really cool is like you could be playing a game and then take it out of the dock and just walk away and keep playing.
What?
Yeah. So you can, and it's got the Joy-Con controllers are connected to the display, and then they easily pop off, and you pop them off like so, and you can attach them to a more traditional controller like so. So then it becomes more of like an Xbox or whatnot sort of controller. And then you have yourself a nice little controller. Then the screen itself has this nifty little kickstand, so you could actually take it, put it on the table. It's a little tricky to get it out, but once you get the kickstand out, the kickstand is probably the weakest part, but so you could lean it on your table or whatnot. It's a little flimsy, but it works. And so you can just play it like that and play it with the little controller, and then these come off and you can play your friend or whatever. But I do recommend, I haven't gotten one yet, but I do recommend getting the Pro controller, which is a little bit more like an regular Xbox sort of controller, dedicated, because taking these things on and off can be kind of a hassle. But yeah, my games of choice on this have been Mario Kart, and I've been playing a lot of Rocket League. So I think Nick and I are tied right now. We're both semi-pro.
Oh yeah, we gotta get a battle set up.
So yeah.
Is there a way? This is a little side note. Is there a way to like get a group of Rocket League players all together, like listeners and stuff out there, to like create a room and say, if you're ever online, we could all like hop in and play? Is that easy to do now with modern game systems? I feel like I'm behind the ball with this.
Yeah, I'm not the guy to ask either. I know you can do it on. I know we can do it on Rocket League for the Switch. But
I think Rocket League is cross-platform online, from what I'm looking up. Like we can play together.
Wow,
yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know that. If that's the case, then I bet we could.
I don't know. We'll have to look it up.
All right, this brings doing some research, folks. You know what? You smart people out there, let me know in the comments. I'm sure somebody out there is like, yes, dummy. It's been around for years. Here it is. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
I want to play the new Mario so bad.
I haven't gotten that one yet.
Might be the thing. I lost track. Is it me?
It's you, Nick.
It's you.
Holy moly. So many little things here. Okay. So this is, I really thought about the thing that made my life so much easier this year, and so much like sometimes it's the little things that if you eliminate from your life, it'll like just stress you out a little bit less. And if anybody out there has had Apple headphones in their pocket and use them a lot, you know the stress of what I'm talking about. You pull them out, and I constantly am listening to podcasts, constantly doing phone calls like while I walk around the neighborhood. And every time I pull those earphones out of my pocket for the last however long I've had an iPhone, almost 10 years. They are tangled, they're hard to untangle, and I never found a good solution to like wrap them up and do all that. So when Apple came out with the AirPods, I was reluctant because I'm like, does that really work? You know, is that technology? This is like the first Bluetooth thing that the Apple's coming out with. Is it going to work well enough for me to totally ditch my little trusty, confusing, tangled headphones and just totally ditch them and go straight wireless? Well, when the new phones came out with no headphone jack, I kind of didn't have a choice either. So I went all in and I said, let's see if these work. And I have been so impressed by the AirPods, by their connection, by their battery life, by the way that I have never had an issue with them. The sound quality is really good with them. And what's really cool, one of the things I was worried about was battery life. And especially on like some of my phone calls, I could start, you guys know me, I could talk, right? And so I'm on these calls, sometimes hour, 2 hours. And how do these hold up? That was a huge concern of mine, because if these go out, I am now like holding the phone up to my ear like I'm in the 90s, which, let's not, well, I won't get into my people that hold their phone like a pizza yet, but that'll be a different thing. These things are really cool because what they do is when they get to like 10% power, they make a little noise in your ear, boo, kind of like that. And so when that happens, you can take one of them out, charge it while you're still having your conversation on the one ear. And in about 5-10 minutes, it goes back up to like 40-50% charged. And you can take it out, put it in your ear, and then charge the other one. And nobody on the other end of the line knows any different. And it's been amazing to me. So I also carry these in my pocket every day, had no issues with them breaking. The lid isn't breaking. It's just everything about them has been perfect. So if you've been on the fence with checking these out, highly recommend them, especially if you do a lot of podcasts or phone calls. AirPods.
I've heard good things about those things, and I was always curious about the comfort, because I never liked the hard. That was my biggest complaint whenever I got the earbuds with my old iPhones, is that I have tiny ear canals, so like I'd shove it in there, and if I used it for more than an hour, my ear would hurt. How is the comfort? Is it pretty comfortable?
So for me, the other headphones always fit really well. I got apple shaped ears, I guess. I don't know.
You got big ear canals.
And so, yeah. So if you've used the other ones, they fit similarly, but that is one of the things I have heard, which is like, if you're the part of the population that just doesn't accept these, like it's a different size or whatever it is, then these are similar to the other ones. You might have similar issues, but I know by now there's other Bluetooth headsets you could try and all that, but yeah, that is one of the only things I've heard negative about it. Also real tough if you lose these in the snow, by the way. That's a different story. But wow. other than that, that's the only that's my little mini review. Love these things. Love them.
I'm gonna jump back to the video games that Chad was talking about. And my favorite game lately is something called RimWorld. And RimWorld is available on Steam. And it is actually not even technically out yet. It's still in beta, but it is the most fully featured, like functional beta I can possibly imagine. Like I can't imagine this being any more detailed than it is. But it, they say on like their blog that it was inspired by Firefly. So if you like the TV show Firefly, this is, I guess at the most basic way of describing it is it's a base management game where you have these little characters and they're running around, and there is tons and tons of like micromanagement you could do where these people are running around and you need to feed them. You need environments for them. You need to give them things to have joy, but they have varying personalities and things they like to do and things they don't like to do and things they get upset about. And And you have to plant food. You have to then harvest the food, and then they have to take the food and they have to cook the food into a meal. And then you get animals, and you farm, and you gather eggs from the animals, and all the stuff can be mostly automated. Where you say your job is cooking, and then you make a cooking table, and you tell that table like, I want to have 20 meals at any given time. So whenever you don't have 20 meals, the cooking guy is like, oh, I should go cook something, but it is deeply layered. And if the idea of like base management and resource management is appealing at all, it starts out really simple. You have 3 characters. And in my current game, I've got like 48 characters, which is insane. Like, it's lagging my computer so badly. But there's bad guy raids, and you can go walk around the world map and do trading with other tribes. You can go attack other places, rescue people out on the world. Like, you actually, like, all the animals can get named. Your character can bond with animals. The animals breed, and you can get, like, you have to get food for the winter and survive natural disasters coming in. Like, it's deeply layered. Like, your characters can make artwork, and there'll be statues, and you place them around, and the statues will call out things that have happened in your game at some point, where it's like, oh, this is showing the moment when somebody,
like historical, like
historical
stuff?
accurate things. And it might be somebody petting a dog, but it might be this one giant battle that happened in your base when this one person like took down this enemy. Or the marriage of 2 characters. And it's just, there's so many layers to it. So I'm a big fan of like systems and cycles and management and gathering resources and trading and getting this person good at that. And like, everybody's constantly leveling up all their different skills. There's so many layers to it. Like, I just find it so appealing. It's like wired for the way my brain works. So yeah, RimWorld, highly, highly recommended. Just fun to tinker with. And it also gets really deep if you want to keep going further.
Yeah, this looks crazy. I'm looking at screenshots.
Dude. I can't believe that, like, you could have a statue about petting a dog. I'm so there. I always wanted a statue.
And it doesn't actually look like a statue of a petting a dog, but if you read the description, it'll be about petting a dog.
It'll be on the inscription.
That's amazing.
At first, I was like, this sounds a lot like having kids. And then it got into the whole thing about, rescuing people. And I was like, no, that's not like that.
No, it's a lot more about like wars and combat and trading and rescuing. And But there's also people just don't like each other. And then you kind of get attached to this one particular character, and then he has a dog he bonded with, and it's the first dog, and the dog has some super cute, all the names are automatically generated from some crazy list. So he has a dog named Rusty or something, and then a giant fight happens, and that dog goes in the front line and is trying to defend you, and then the dog gets injured, and you're like, oh, like, I need to heal the dog up, and like, I got to protect it, and then you put a bed there, and you're making sure it's alive, and like, it's like you get invested.
This is insane.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's so, like, there's so much granular stuff going on.
There's a lot of natural storytelling that happens in it without it trying to tell a story, where you're just by the mechanics of the game, you're like, oh, this person is my mining person, and they're just so good at mining, and I'm going on this mission, and I know I'm going to need somebody to mine, so they're coming with me. And you just get like these, you kind of get, it's almost like you end up with like your Star Trek crew, where it's like, oh, this character, that's kind of the one I identify with. That's my main character. So it's almost like that's me in the game. Whatever, their name is Fifi or something, but you're like, that's still my guy. And then you go on these tiny missions, and you're like, okay, I got my regular 2 or 3 or 4 people that come with me. So it starts feeling like Star Trek away missions kind of thing. I don't know. It's there's a lot of nuance to it. It's even fun to talk about with other people who play it. Lots to it. I'm still learning new things about it, and I've played way too many hours of it.
I can tell you're into it. I love it. I'm gonna go with another hardware thing, and that is going to be the thing that has been kind of by my side over the past couple of months while I've been shooting textures for an upcoming product, and that's going to be our Sony A7R II camera that we purchased specifically for shooting textures, matte black. My matte black theme. This camera is phenomenal. It is the reason that it's so great for shooting textures is that it is actually a 42.4 megapixel camera. I believe that's the stat. Let me make sure that's right. Let me check the full specs so I don't misrepresent this thing. 43.6 megapixels.
Even better.
So it is insanely high res. So if you're, if you're having to shoot a lot of textures, I highly recommend this camera. It's phenomenal, especially with pairing it with this lens, which we got, which is a 50. I believe it's a 50. Is it a 55 or a 50? I think it's just a 50. But it's a fixed lens, so it's a prime, so it's just awesome for shooting textures. And its body is probably the most solid body I've ever encountered in a DSLR. I've been a Nikon guy. I've got my own like Nikon stuff, which is good, but the bodies always feel good, but they're not like rock solid good. And the Sony cameras are insanely well built. Like this thing is a tank. I think it's got a full metal body. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of texture shooting lately, and this thing has been rock solid. Highly recommend.
Are you teasing the upcoming texture pack right now?
See what I did there? See what I did? Little in there.
I like it. I'm excited. Yeah, I've been hearing nothing but great things about the Sony. Chris, you got a Sony this year too, right?
Oh yeah. I kind of got the basic camera just to see if I was going to super kind of get into the hobby. So I got like a solid camera, but I didn't go crazy with it. And it was super fun, but like I don't find myself reaching for it very often.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe photography is just not for me.
It happens. Well, we got to go on a texture walk again.
I mean, honestly, I'm in the same camp. I don't like this thing is like, when I'm not shooting textures, it's just not doing anything. So I'm with you. I'm not like a huge camera guy, but for the job of what we needed this camera for, it's been fantastic.
Well, I'm gonna go off of Chris's game that he was talking about. That sounds like it's pretty addictive and has all these little levers you could pull. And I want to talk to you about a game that changed the way I look at the world. And it's probably like the most profound video game experience I've had since like I was in high school, maybe since Mario 64. And this is a game called Universal Paperclips. And I won't say much about it other than it is very addictive, and it is so much fun, and it's so simple when you start, and it just opens up all these layers. And I'll give you the first part just because this is what got me interested in the first place. You show up and you're in a factory, and there's no graphics. It's just a number on the screen of how many paperclips you've made. And there's a big giant button that says make paperclip. And yeah, I was like, well, this is easy. You click the button, you make a paperclip. What can go wrong? Well, you start to learn that you can, adjust the price of your paperclip. You could pay for more marketing for your paperclip company. You could buy robots to help you clip your paperclips automatically. You can invest your profits into the stock market. Like things expand very quickly in this game, and it goes crazy. And it's very interesting. I love in the way that you just said, Chris, like talking with other people who have played the game that you're talking about. I love talking to other people who have played paperclips and like what they get out of it, because it's so simple. It's free if you go play it on your browser. I think it's
this is a browser game. I've already made 200 of them.
See, look, Chris.
He's already a tycoon.
Let me give you a little warning, Chris. It's if you have anything planned for the rest of the day, don't start, because hours later I was still making paperclips, and it's honestly kind of like what you said about your game, Chris. This game was built for my brain, and I think a lot of you out there have this type of brain of like setting up Legos and building Lego and setting up dominoes and those kind of like systems. this speaks right to that system for me anyway. So universal paperclips, totally free. Go play it in your browser.
Oh my God, I can already see the danger of this.
And let me know what you think. If you complete or play a long time for paperclips, let me know. I'd love to hear your experience.
Wow, this is ridiculous.
Oh gosh. Don't
like, why does this exist?
Just wait. It's so good. It is so good.
I'm just gonna raise my paperclip price to like a ridiculous amount of money.
Oh, I lowered mine so that the public demand went up. Okay,
well,
moving on.
Really quickly, I literally might, toward the end of this year, as things quiet down around here, I might hop on Twitch and just play this paperclip game for a day. And if I do, I'll let everybody know. It is so much fun, and I have so much fun with it that that might literally be one of the days during my break, is just like hopping on Twitch and playing paperclips. Anyway, that's my crazy pick. Chris, go ahead, man.
Oh, it's me again. Okay, I'm gonna jump to. I guess I'll just do one. I've got 2 different subreddits to recommend this year. New subreddits I've come across. So I'm going to skip the obvious prequel memes, but if you're not on prequel memes, you should check that out. But the one I'm going to go with is misleading thumbnails. Misleading thumbnails. If you're regular on Reddit, then misleading thumbnails is just a really fun little. It's almost like a little mini game you can add into your list, because it's all in the title. Misleading thumbnails. It's a picture of one thing, but when you actually zoom, you click out, so you see your thumbnail. It looks like, oh wow, that's like even right now it says it's a bowl of flour, but then you look, it's actually like a cat in the basket when you actually see the big image. So it's just really fun where you look, it's like, oh, that's just an image of that, and it says it's that. And you zoom in, and it's kind of fun to even try and guess, because when you have a whole bunch of other image-based subreddits in there, this is just kind of sprinkled in there. So you're like, oh, cool, look, there's a picture of a waterfall, and then you go to look at it, and it's like, oh, that's not a waterfall at all. Like, that's somebody's hair. So it's just a cute little fun one to do. And that was really quick. So I'm just going to stick the other one in here at the same time, which is our out of the loop. So it's just out of the loop, and it's just kind of whenever there's any kind of trend going on, it tends to be a little secular, or what do you call it? It's kind of inside of Reddit that tends to be helpful. But when you kind of see like a new little phase going on in Reddit, or just kind of a trend in Reddit, you're like, what is that referencing? I don't get it. Our out of the loop will tell you it. And let's say I'm just looking at the top ones right now. And it's like, oh, what's with all the posts about calling state senators about telecom companies? And then why are people angry at Ryan Johnson about Star Wars?
Oh, I need this, Chris. I so need this. I find stuff on Reddit and I don't get the joke, and I blow right by it. And you're telling me this might be where I could figure this out.
Yeah, somebody will already have the same question you have, and there'll be a whole. The first post. The first comment in response to it will be, "Oh, here's a quick summary, catching you all up to speed." And I've just found it. Kind of useful to have in there when if you love Reddit but you can't be on there all the time. Well, this will fill you in.
Love it. In the notes. In the notes, Chad Ashley. What is next on your list?
I'm sorry, I was playing paperclips.
Ha ha! Paperclips.
I got almost 500.
All right.
Oh really? Come on, you gotta work on it. Chad. I got 550. It's automated.
Gotta get that click button going.
It hurts my fingers. Okay, so camera was my last one, which is great for textures, but for everyday shooting, staying with the matte black theme, I have absolutely fallen in love with my Google Pixel XL2. And there's a lot of controversy about this phone regarding the screen, which it's a great screen. It's an AMOLED screen. It's got some issues, some slight burn-in and whatnot, like all AMOLED displays. But the camera on this thing is ridiculous. It is the best-in-class camera of any smartphone, in my opinion, out there. And the stuff that I've been shooting with it, mostly family stuff, has been just phenomenal. And the portrait mode looks great. It's doing it with one camera as opposed to two. the software, I think, is the key to this phone and its camera. Google's doing some magic stuff with HDR plus and the ability to get depth from one lens and not two. It's a great shooter. It's fast. It's easy. It's natural looking. I absolutely love this phone, and it's with me every day. And it's matte black. And I got the pop socket.
Oh yeah, pop socket. Shout out to last week's.
And it's a matte black pop socket.
Nothing but the best. I'm putting both on there. Pop socket. Oh, I gave out pop sockets at our family like gift exchange, and it was great because who doesn't need like a case or something to hold your phone?
I know. I think I might go get some as like stocking stuffers or something. And have you seen the one you can get for your car, so you can like clip it into your car?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, no, you mentioned those, right? Like you can put them anywhere. I put mine in my car.
Yep. They're like a negative pop socket that you could slide your pop socket into.
Mm-hmm. And those are only like $9 for that.
Dude. Right.
It's insane.
No, it's smart. I'm in love with that company. Okay. Wait, is it my turn?
Yeah.
Holy moly. I'm sitting here writing all these notes. Got all this fun stuff here. What do I want to talk about? So something I've been doing more lately is taking better notes. And if and Chad and Chris know this about me, whenever I talk, I need to like have a piece of paper in front of me just to like get what's in my head out, because of the way that the word, you could hear it right now, because of the way the words are stuck in here. Sometimes I just need to sketch or draw a circle or just like try to explain what I'm talking about through doodling, through arrows. And I've always done it on just like scrap pieces of paper or like inexpensive notebooks, and they just kind of like get thrown away really at the end. Well, recently I've been trying something which is kind of capturing this stuff a little bit more clearly, and then having a list of things over the year that I could go back and look at and kind of remind myself of things that I've wanted to try to communicate or ideas that I've had. And that's just a long way of saying I've been doing more like in a notebook. And what I found was part of the reason I would scribble and just kind of be messy was that's partly how my brain worked, but also I knew that I would just like throw this away at the end. So I just kind of scribbled anywhere. Once I got a notebook that had like a little bit more feel to it and a little bit more like a hard cover, and it was a little bit more expensive, I found myself like using it more, first of all, and I found myself writing more important things in it. And it's a little psychological trick, but you know, it's an important notebook. It's got a hard cover. It's a nice, I'm showing this if you're listening to it on audio. It's a nice little red color, you know, it's got a little pen attachment to it. And it makes me feel like this is an important book. I better put important ideas in here. And it's less of a throwaway feeling when I'm taking notes and going through projects. So anyway, I just wanted to recommend this notebook in particular because this is my second one. It's great quality. The ink doesn't go through the pages. I use sometimes like heavier ink pens, and it's just been really cool. It's got this nice little strap so you can close it shut. Has this nice little pen hook so you could always keep a pen in the notebook. It's got these little tails. What do they call these? Bookmarks. So you can like mark parts of the page. But I'm going to put this in show notes, and I'm going to need your help pronouncing this, because it's one of those words you look at online, and I've ordered it a couple times, but I've never really heard it said out loud. Maybe I should like YouTube this word. But it's Leuchtturm. You guys have a guess on that one?
Dude,
Nope.
I'm not even going to try. That's the name of this thing?
Yeah, it's a like lectern. Or there's like I think there's a silent K in there.
Is there an umlaut in there somewhere?
I don't know. I want to say, I'm not even going to guess again at the pronunciation, but they're really cool notebooks. They come in like on Amazon. There's like at least 10, 15 different colors. And again, a little bit more expensive than like a regular notebook. But again, the idea is that, think of it this way. If you bought this one's about $20. If you bought a $20 book and a $5 book, you might think there's like more important stuff in the $20 book. I'm not saying that's always right, but mentally think of it that way. And now think of it that it's your job to fill up this book with important ideas and what your projects are going to be and when you brainstorm about what you're going to do next year, like we're all doing at the end of this year. When you write stuff down, to me, it feels more important because it's in a more important feeling notebook.
No, that's true. I could definitely see myself doing that.
It makes me think about what I put in there, and it makes what I put in there more important. I guess I'm repeating myself, but
you put it in the special notebook.
I put it in the special notebook. I can't ignore it now. It's got a fancy little, rubber strap or fabric strap on it. I can't.
The most important
throw
question.
This away.
Most important question.
Mm-hmm.
Does it come in matte black?
Oh, I think so, dude. I think so. I'm on
There's
Amazon.
no way it does.
I'm sold.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, dude. That looks like a good matte black right there.
I love a good notebook.
I'm gonna put the bright orange version in the show notes because that's my favorite. But there's, like I said, a bunch of colors. I'm gonna put these in the notes right now and get your little notebook. Love it.
Can't pronounce it, but I'll use it.
Maybe when I see it written, like.
All right, it's in the notes. In the notes. Chris, you are up next, my friend. What's next on the favorite things of Chris Schmidt 2017?
All right. I'm going to jump to some YouTube channels. A YouTube channel that I absolutely love and I super look forward to the videos. And if you're super nerdy as well, there is a channel called the channel's called, I think, James Burton, which is the worst name for a channel. But the channel is like X Robots. And it's just a guy, and it seemingly is him up in his attic. And he has a whole bunch of 3D printers, and he makes robots. And he goes and he takes plywood, and he gets steel, and he 3D prints parts, mostly 3D prints, and he gets Arduino boards, and he wires stuff up, and he codes, and he, from scratch, from just his imagination and figuring things out, has built bipedal walking robots. And he gets like remote control so he can start walking forward, walking backward. He's currently working on like a platform that he can like cosplay this robot to turn into like C-3PO or a Spider-Man robot or whatever he wants it to be. It was originally a Gonk droid, and he just iterates through, and he just does all this fun like robotic electronic stuff. He's been building his own like crazy custom motorized skateboards. He just finished like this Batman board where he has like remote control, and it steers like the tumbler in Batman. And he just comes up with crazy ideas. And his videos, he goes through, he's like, here's the code I'm doing, here's how I'm doing this. There's such first of all, he's British, and if you're American, you always think British people sound smart. Apparently that's unique to America. I've just found that out. Apparently the rest of Europe thinks that like they're snobby. The Americans think they sound smart. But I'm cool with that. And it's just, there's such a fun pacing to the videos. And I just love the stuff he's making. And you see him and he's got all these parts, and you get where he's going. And then there's like the day when he hooks the wires up, and then the thing like starts flailing around in the room, and you're like, oh my God, look at it's working. And he dials things in, and it's just like, I don't know. Once again, just, it's one of those things that super appeals to like this thing. It's one of those things where it's super dangerous because I'm very interested in that kind of stuff, and I don't physically have room in my apartment or honestly space in my brain or time in my life to try and do that kind of thing. But I watch these videos and it makes me want to try and do that. And those types of channels and just sources are dangerous. Where you're like, oh, I want to do that so bad. It's like, no, I can't. I can't also like try to become like super expert in electronics and Arduino and like the programming languages for those and fill my entire bedroom up with like steel and plastic. Like I just can't do that. But watching this guy do it is almost as good.
I like it says like a hobby you don't want to get into. You just get the fill through watching the YouTube video.
Yes.
That's an interesting business model of like vicariously doing a hobby through someone else.
I think that's half of what YouTube is.
That's true, man. That is so true. Okay. I am going to show you The last coffee cup you will ever need to buy.
I like that.
Right here.
Hey, Chad, real quick question. What color is that coffee cup?
It's matte black. This is the Mir Camp Cup, MIIR Camp Cup, and it is the last coffee cup you will ever need to buy. It is indestructible, stainless steel, insulated, comes with a removable top. For those of you not watching, I'm carefully trying to remove the top of this thing so I don't spill my oh shit, I just spilled coffee on my keyboard. So it's stainless on the inside. This coffee I poured in my cup around like 7:30, and my friends, it is still hot.
Well, taste test. Let's see.
Still good, still hot. I am telling you, I saw one of these at a Collectivo in Milwaukee, and you can get them branded with your company's branding on it if you want. And that's where I saw it originally. And I picked it up, and I'm like, wow, this thing has got some girth to it. It's insulated. It seems indestructible. But I didn't want a logo on it because, I don't know, I'm just like, yeah, I'm minimal. So I went on their website, and I found out that not only do they sell these things without logos, but they sell a slew of other insulated goodies, like a carafe that you could pour your entire pot of coffee into and keep that thing warm all day.
I love those.
And it's got excellent design, excellent build quality. I've been using this coffee cup every single morning. I wash it and I use it again and again and again. So get one for the office, keep it there, and if you're like me and you get a coffee in the morning, you hate when it's cold by 10 o'clock in the morning. Like that's a big downer. So having your coffee warm all morning is great. Can't microwave it. That's a no-no. Metal microwave.
You won't need to. It's going to stay hot all day, baby.
Don't need to. You don't know. I was so close to buying you guys one of these, but I know I know that you sporadically drink warm coffee, Nick, and I know that Chris likes to keep his beverages cold, which can do that too. Like you could put cold beverages in here. But check out their stuff. It's fantastically designed stuff, and I love this coffee cup so much.
I tell you what's interesting to me about a good hot cup of coffee, and what I did was I got a carafe that's similar. I don't think it's the same brand, but I had a similar process. I would preheat the carafe even. I'd pour hot water in the carafe before you put the coffee in it, so that the coffee isn't the thing that heats the carafe up. It's the water first. Then you put the coffee in, and then that thing would stay hot like 8 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Just all day. So what I would do when I worked at a different office, I would make French press coffee, put it in the carafe, or put the water in, put this, dump the water out, put the coffee in, bring it up to the office, and know that I didn't have to go downstairs to get coffee again. And here's a little productivity hack. When your brain runs into a problem, that when you're working on something, maybe you're working on a project and you're trying to force your way into like figuring this project out, whatever you're working on, your brain will find any excuse to stop doing that hard problem and then go do something like go get a cup of coffee or go refresh your water or whatever that is. The more that you can tell your brain, no, dude, you got everything you need here. There's no excuse for you to take a break right now. It is your job to figure this problem out. The more your brain will go, oh, we don't need to go get a hot cup of coffee. We can spend an extra 5 minutes on this project and on this problem. And it was an eye opener for me that just simply having the drinks and the snacks that you need throughout the day at your desk will help your brain not be so distracted. And so there you go. This hot cup of coffee, my friends, is not just for your taste buds. This is for your entire life. It's for this will basically save your marriage right here. This cup of coffee.
It saved mine, folks.
Yeah, get you a promotion.
Well, it sounds like we're pitching these. It sounds like we got paid to do this. We
can we still do
that? Yeah, anybody, if you heard us say your product, can you please sponsor us?
Yeah,
we're not getting any money for this.
Send us the things that we just pinned out on our show.
We should say none of this is promotion. These are all actual products that we've used and just love and want to share with you guys.
Yeah.
But also that mug does look pretty good,
dude. I'm just gonna buy you one right now.
Well, hey, I think I have one more thing on my list, and then
I've only got one more as well.
good. Well, let me see. Let me make sure it's all appropriate here. Good.
So are we doing one more round?
You know, I'm the last one on this round, so technically, if there's another round, I could probably figure another one out. But we'll do like this one, and then we'll do a lightning round as we wrap up. Any extra little things we want to throw in. But this, speaking of minimal stuff, I always have too many dang things in my pocket, and this year, after my lovely wife told me a couple extra times, "What do you have in your pocket right now?" And I'm like, "Well, there's, I got my keys." And got my chapstick, got my car key, got my wallet. And I looked at all these things and I was like, well, what? I can't really get rid of these things. I need all these things, but how can I slim them down? So I got into that minimal, slimmy wallet kind of movement that's been going on. And I thought I already had a small wallet. But my friends, I did not have this small a wallet. This thing is so teeny tiny. And I found myself not using cash a lot, using cards for everything. I don't need a ton of business cards on me. I don't need a lot of stuff in this wallet. So I really thinned it out. And I took all the extra cards for like Starbucks and all those kind of things and like put it all on my phone, tried to minimize my wallet as much as possible, and ended up with this one after a little bit of research, after too much research, I should say. I ended up with this Vault Skin Chelsea Slim Card wallet. I'll put the link in the show notes. This thing has been awesome. And one of the things I like about it is that it's super small. I don't know if it shows how small it is, but it holds like 2 or 3 cards on the side, things like my ID and like my main credit card that I use, things you use a lot, you put in the side bit. You have a little bit of cash, like just a couple 20s in there. Like literally, I think I use cash whenever I like play pinball and get my hair cut. That's it. So I have a little extra pinball cash in there. But then this thing is the extra little fun deal. There's cards in the top, and there's this little pull tab. And when you pull it up, the cards kind of, raise about a half an inch so that you can pull them up and go through them and say, hey, here's my business card, or here's that, card I use once a month. It's my River's Edge Brewery Mug Club member card. I got to prove that I'm a Mug Club member, but I don't need it every day. So it goes in the top. Anyway, this thing's been awesome, and it's significantly slimmed my like pocket. I was about to say pocket bulge, but we'll leave that go. Anyway, I did this.
It's a Christmas show. Come on, man.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Pocket bulge. There's I also did the same thing with my keys. I really just tracked like how many keys I used every day, and I took the 3 or 4, I think I have 4 here, the 4 that I use almost every day. And then what I did was I took the rest of them and I put them, I made 2 copies. I made copies for like all the extra little keys that I need for the office or for the home. I made a copy for the house and a copy for the office and just left them in the office. And so now those keys that I only use like once a month, I have when I need, but again, they're not on they're not on my body, which is great. So that little day of just thinking about the things that I put in my pocket every day and taking half of it away was a huge win for me this year. Huge win.
Now, when you did the key thing,
Mhm.
are you rocking the key ring, or are you doing the like knife thing where the keys are like slide out like a knife?
I might want to try that. Right now, it's just a little key ring and for keys. And I have a bike lock key that I use almost every day. And that one doesn't really fit in those fancy, like Swiss Army knife kind of style key rings. So it's just real, I'll rethink it. But those little projects every year where you go through something that you assume is fine, but then you really look at stuff that you interact with every day and go, is this the best I could do? Those little projects end up saving so much.
I might have to try that wallet. I went through the same thing. I had the Costanza wallet that was like putting a dent in my pelvis for years. And a mutual friend of ours turned me on to the Tight wallet, which is essentially an elastic band and then a pocket. And it's very similar to what you have. But my problem with this wallet is that for me to get to the card that's in the middle, I got to take them all out. I gotta take them all out, and then I have to like, sit here and like try to like, okay, is it this one? Is it that one? And then if you take them all out and you're like, whoa, I just showed my credit card there for a second. Hope everybody could see that. I'll have to tell the editor to block that out. Anyway, so yeah,
real quick, unrelated question. What's your mother's maiden name?
Yeah. Anyway, but it's a huge hassle to like get in there. So I'm gonna check your little wallet out. I think that might be what I'm into. I need something that I like, that little lift feature. That's a really interesting idea. I hadn't even thought about a way to solve that, but that's definitely cool.
I would also say something I found useful on that topic is every time I'm going on a flight, I'll take everything. I have a regular wallet, not like one of the super skinny ones, but every time I have a flight, I take everything out of the wallet and I only put things back in it that I'm going to use on the trip. And that kind of big reset, I find, keeps the wallet pretty thin. You're like, why am I carrying all these things? Like, I don't need this. I'm not gonna use this. I'm not gonna use this. Like,
you have to go through that. Yeah, that paring down of things.
Yeah.
This may be obvious to other smart people out there, but I'm a little slow sometimes. It took me until only a few years ago to realize that when I hop on a flight and go somewhere for a week, that I don't need to have my keys in my pocket that entire week. It took me literally like so many. I've traveled to NAB for years.
You had your house keys with you all around NAB
in the pocket. And
even I know that.
One day I pulled out all the crap out of my pocket. And this is before this new wallet revolution here. I pulled out all this crap and I was like, oh my gosh, why am I carrying like my car key, my house key, my like key to the office, everything around in Vegas? What am I doing with my life? And I put them in my luggage and like put it in a corner of my luggage. And I was like, am I the last one to figure this out? So if you're listening to this and you're the next last one to figure this out, just a little tip: don't need your keys. Probably obvious, but it took me a while. So
that is funny,
man. All right, let's do a little lightning round here, and we'll say goodbye for the year. Say goodbye.
Yeah,
guys.
Right. Well, let's see. I'm going to go with my last non-lightning round one, and that is another YouTube channel called Isaac Arthur. And this one kind of blew my mind that it exists at all, and the type of information it gives. So I'm really into like my two favorite sciences are evolution and astronomy, kind of like astrophysics, planets and like interstellar things, all that. And I thought, and I've spent a lot of time like reading up on these things, watching videos, documentaries, just I know a lot about space and sci-fi tech and that kind of stuff. And then I discovered Isaac Arthur's channel, and he has hundreds of videos where it's essentially, you could just listen to it as a podcast, honestly, because all the imagery is just kind of like generic. It's all custom. It's pretty much like stock photography, stock imagery of like spaceships and planets and whatnot. But he goes into incredible detail of like, where is humanity going? Like, hey, let's talk about the concept of cyborgs and what it might mean for humanity. Let's talk about colonizing not the moon, not Mars, not Jupiter, not the Kuiper Belt. He's done all those, and interstellar. Let's talk about what we would need to do to colonize the sun itself. Let's talk about removing matter from the sun, a process called star lifting, in order to extract the material to build Dyson swarms, in order to make like the ability for there to be 1 trillion times as many humans just within our own solar system. And he goes into the science and the limitations and the possibilities and the roadblocks. And essentially, like I would consider myself as like an expert layman on these topics. And he made me feel like I didn't know anything on these topics. So my mind almost on every single one of his videos is completely blown by like the possibility, the prospect, just the craziness. And I'm going to link to his channel, but I'm going to specifically link to one video in particular, which was my favorite one of his, where it's just like, here is a day in the life of somebody. I haven't watched it in a little bit, but it's like, here's a day in the life of somebody 1,000 years ago. Here's a day in the life of somebody 50 years ago. Here's a day in the life of somebody 20 years from now. And just like how the little things that are around us already, even if nothing changes, like even if we don't really develop more technology, how things will be different, how education might be different, how communication might be different, how travel might be different. And man, like my mind is just completely blown every one of his videos. I can't recommend it highly enough. And it's a blatant thing in it, but he has a speech impediment. He sounds a little bit like Elmer Fudd, and he calls it out. And he says, "If you can't understand me, turn on the subtitles." But after you listen to a couple of them, like I really like his voice is like really charming and even like soothing in a way. Like I can't not recommend this channel enough if you kind of geek out on sci-fi concepts and just kind of space stuff in general.
So I love that stuff. That's kind of what that Sapiens book does for me is put context around how far we have come and how many things we are responsible for, good and bad, like, and just putting context around how the world was built. It's amazing. It's in the notes, folks. Chad, anything, one last one here, buddy?
Yeah. It's not really matte black though.
Get it out of here.
No.
But it's pretty close. It's my Google Home Mini. And I didn't really realize how much I would come to depend on this little guy, but I have come to depend on it for both kind of informing me about what's going on in my day. I come into my office and I tell it good morning, and it tells me the weather, tells me what's going on in my news, tells me my calendar, and it starts my day off every day with this little guy. And he's got a nice little orange bottom, which I like. But the most useful feature of this thing is the ability to broadcast to other Google Homes in the house, and we have one downstairs. So if I like, let's say I need a coffee refill, and I could say broadcast, "Hey, can one of you kids come up and bring me more coffee?" Because that's what I do. I tell my kids to get me more coffee.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty good. No, I'm kidding. They don't do that. I usually tell them to be quiet. But I could say, should we try it live right now? I could try it and see if they'll respond. Hopefully they won't say anything too crazy. Okay, Google. Broadcast. Hey, kids.
Okay, broadcasting now.
So it's broadcasting to them downstairs right now. Let's see if they respond. They'll probably come running in here.
What do you want?
They're probably, because I told them not to broadcast during the podcast, so they're probably like, "Is this a trick?
Am I in trouble?
What's he gonna do if we respond?
We'll be in trouble if we do it."
What's up, Dad?
I love it. No! So
the future.
That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's my favorite stuff. 2017.
They gotta respond to him.
Everyone's Google, if they have it in their office right now, is going crazy right now, thanks to Chad too. Like,
sorry.
Everyone's like, why did Dad just broadcast this? That's awesome. I've been looking at those. I'm not sure what robot I want to yell at in my house yet, but one of those is gonna join the family here pretty soon. Well, unless there's anything else, I have kind of one last one here. And any last little lightning round additions before I say my last one and wrap it up?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I think we covered all the ones I wanted to hit.
Well, I wanted to add this one just because I did this process recently and it's completely free. Paperclips is free, but unlike some of the other things on this list, you can go do this tonight. You can go do this tomorrow. And it's been a huge help for me. It's something I try to do at the end of every year. That's always been a huge help for me. It's one of my favorite things of the year and something I always look forward to. And it is what I call a success list. It's a list of things that you got done this year that that took a significant amount of energy or work or thought from you or your team or your family. And I really enjoy this process. And I encourage anybody out there to do it. In fact, I love it so much that I made a YouTube video about it that should be up on Greyscalegorilla right now, all about this process, why I go through this process. And I also share with you guys some of the projects that I'm proud of this year from Greyscalegorilla, from working with this team. And for me, it's a good place to see how much you've done because, and I'm sure Chad and Chris will agree to this, as creative people, it's hard to always celebrate your success. As creative people, it's easy to go on to the next project and just keep pushing and trying the new thing, learning the new thing, playing with the new toys. And it's hard to look back and say, wow, I really did do more than I thought. And this process at the end of the year helps kind of bring that home at a part of the year where you're starting to maybe plan for next year. So anyway, this list, I explain more about it in a video I'll link to, where I go into more detail and kind of talk you through the process of this list, and also share with you some of the projects that we've been working on. But I highly, highly recommend this. Make your own success list, celebrate your wins, share it with your team and with your family. We just did this at a meeting this week where we talked about all the things we did this year. And when you add it up, we all look at it and go, man, we really did some really cool stuff, released some cool products, did a lot of behind the scenes work on the website, and all the things that we're doing over here. It comes into light of like how much work is actually done. It also sets you up for a successful 2018. At least it does for me. Helps me look at what was important, what was less important, and start to plan the next year. So anyway, I'll stop on that. I'll just refer to the video if you want to learn more about that process. It's something I look forward to every year, and I encourage you to do as well. And so with that, unless there's any other notes, this is it. This is the year. Happy New Year. We're going to be taking a little bit of a break here through January 1st, but we'll be back at it as soon as the new year starts. We have tutorials that are ready to go. That'll be coming out early January. We got the podcast coming back. Chris, I think you were mentioning that AskGSG might be back.
AskGSG is coming back on January 10th. Will be the first episode of season 4.
Say what? All right. Breaking news. So a lot of stuff coming up. We have a huge 2018 planned. Thanks to all of you for listening to this podcast, being a part of it, giving feedback, talking in the comments, and just being a part of this. It's been really fun for us. And I'm sure I'm speaking for everybody here that we thank you. Thank you guys for listening, being a part of Greyscalegorilla. Hope you had a successful and productive 2017, and we will see you in 2018, with much, much more. So thanks again, everybody. Happy New Year, and we will see you very soon. Bye-bye, everybody.
Happy holidays.